Hi, I'm Marina Rinaldi, and our presentation is about business processes, workflows, and information systems. To start, we have the definitions of all of them. So, a business process is a series of steps by which an organization coordinates and organizes tasks to get work done. Workflow is a pattern of business activity enabled by the organization of resources into processes that transform materials, provide services, or process information. An information system is an organized system for the collection, organization, distribution, storage, and communication of information and data. Next, we have the relationship between these things. So, information systems make performing business processes more efficient because data and information are available to a wider range of people, and tasks can be performed simultaneously and more quickly. And workflow automates business processes by combining human activity with information technologies to achieve business objectives. Next, we have the history of business processes by Kelsey.
All right, so the history of business processes started in the early 1990s with simply just breaking a job into individual tasks. Then in the 70s and 80s, they focused on quality management and statistical measures. In the mid 90s, radical reengineering, they realized it was hard, and instead of trying to fix all the problems in one big solution, they incrementally improved progress over time. And the business processes needed to be completely documented, consistently followed, and regularly audited. Then in the 90s and 2000s, application-centric workflow tools were used to automate business processes, and they pulled many previous techniques into a comprehensive framework to focus on quantitative measures and process improvement, which is still continuing today. The history of workflow began in 1913 when Henry Ford introduced the first assembly line. Cars prior were built unit by unit, and now they're built part by part, which highly increased productivity. In World War II, there was a high demand for work organization because of draft registration cards, decimal file systems, lots of paperwork, and this added structure quickly to filing and info systems in offices. In the 80s, people began to critique traditional workflows for being dehumanizing and inflexible as the working conditions changed. So the workflows that Henry Ford were using for a simple assembly line weren't working to transfer into other businesses. So this led to new movements that addressed the problems with traditional workflow and added customization, individual preference, and linked planning and execution. And it's important to note that every process involves a workflow. And then the history of information systems started out in the 50s and 60s with data processing, electronic data processing. 60s and 70s, management reporting with management information systems. 70s and 80s, decision support systems. Strategic and end user in the 80s and 90s, end user computing and exec info systems and expert systems. In the 90s and 2000s, electronic business and commerce and internetworked e-business and commerce, which we can also still see today. Next, we have Katie with business process applications.
Okay, so this is basically stating how business processes, workflow, and information systems apply into the real world. So in regard to business processes, a business process is typically initiated when a business needs to reach a certain goal, as stated. And there's three benchmarks: operational, supporting, and management process, which are supposed to be followed in a secure order to secure the final product and a successful outcome. So, for instance, it allows companies to efficiently maintain continuous improvement in regard to payroll, customer service, as well as financials. So, when an individual plans a vacation, like through a booking website or something like of that sort, there's typically a sequence of events that take place that are initiated by the company in regard to the business process. So, they'll set up an order in which the customer can follow and have a clean and efficient outcome. Okay, so the workflow application, it applies in a similar manner. Specifically, IBM workflow allows their company to gain insight on the repetitive processes by having a robotic process automation system. It's actually it's a highly repetitive manual task. It automates them from the manual tasks. For example, a bank is filled with a lot of manual processes, which tend to lead to numerous faults that arise within the company. So an efficient workflow application mitigates careless mistakes made on day-to-day activities. So therefore, by improving workflow processes, it'll save time, effectively cut costs, and be more efficient for the company. The legitimate process that each employee must follow must continuously be amended, obviously, to ensure an ideal working conditions and the best outcome that could possibly occur. And then the last one is information systems, the application in the real world. IBM again has a information system called Customer Information System, CIS, and essentially it's a system that organizes data and allows the user to find data among an unlimited number of fields and codes. So in order to move further with your business, an effective system must be implicated. So now we have Joe with the future of information.
So now that we've talked about the history of information systems, workflows, and business processes, and we've also talked about the applications in the real world, now we can go to the future and where we're headed with these. So the future of business processes is based around the idea of agility. And being able to have this agility in a world where technology is forever changing and new technology are coming out so recently where your technology can go obsolete within 3 years, you have to be able to adapt in this environment. And the best way to explain this, I thought, was a quote by CIO.com. And this quote reads, "If one interprets enterprise agility to having the right set of methods, techniques, and ceremonies to suit the situation, then pressure eases. You go from trying to find the perfect way of working to multiple ways of working. And then agility is the freedom to choose which way of working suits your situation the best." So like I said, as technology advances, your IT has to be able to find multiple ways of working. So dealing with increased automation, outsourcing, and communication departments are all examples of how companies have to adapt. Outsourcing, automation, and communication are all things that are affected by these new processes, and being able to adapt in those situations is going to be the ability for the company to flourish. The future of workflows. I felt that the best way to explain this was to say a specific thing that would match workflows well in the future. And for that, I thought AI was the best way. And AI is just machines learning from experience and adjusting new outputs to perform human-like tasks. So having this AI can have a ton of advantages. And the advantages of AI is that it can help the use of scheduling, predictive maintenance, machines sorting data and making predictions to assist human making decisions, and then the humans can spend their time elsewhere. So like we talked about in class with the tank demonstration, humans need to be able to make the actual decisions, but AI can take the grunt work out of it. It allows for humans to not have to sort data themselves and then just look at the actual data to make decisions in upper level management. The disadvantage of that is that the human touch in every step isn't there. So there can be malfunctions between computers, and they'll have some issues between that. And that's so the future of information systems. The thing about information systems, I felt that the future is going towards the cloud model, and the cloud model will allow for eradication of data centers. So the benefits of the cloud model is it saves space, saves money, and allows for large amounts of storage. So being able to have the cloud model will get rid of a huge cost for data centers and the IT workers who have to spend their time for maintenance and keeping up with the tech itself. So having that would be a huge cost. It also saves space. The amount of space that data centers use in general are huge. Like you said, the NVIDIA one that you visited is a ridiculous, huge acres field with tons of data centers. So that will get rid of that. Disadvantages of the cloud is the security, the internet requirements, and limited vendors. So having security in these fields is difficult because it's on the internet. So anytime you're on the internet, you're vulnerable to hackers. And having internet is also an issue because if you have a situation where you need access to the internet and you aren't granted that, it'd be more beneficial to you to have the actual information saved on the hardware device itself. Another issue is that there's limited vendors. Due to the cloud technology being recently new, people aren't able to find the exact situation that suits their company itself or the right amount of storage that their company needs. So that's another issue in the field. An example of the cloud model I thought was great to share is Amazon's AWS. And Amazon has a huge market share for AWS, and they basically just explain what cloud computing is and how can it work well for your business. So they explain it as cloud computing provides a simple way to access servers, storage, and databases in a broad set of application services over the internet. A cloud services platform such as Amazon Web Services owns and maintains the network-connected hardware required for these application servers, while you provision and use what you need via web application. So basically, it takes out the work from itself. It sorts the data for you, and you just access it when you need it. All right. And we have the works cited page for you. And that is all. Thank you for your time.